Hey everybody, welcome on our channel. In this video we are gonna see, what if Naruto got expelled by Jedi and got Harem? Part 2. If you are new on the channel, don't forget to subscribe our channel and like the video too. So without wasting any more time, let's start the story. Anakin stood before the Jedi Council as they discussed the loss of the Zillo Beast. It wasn't their objective at start, but the loss of the beast was a huge blow to the Republic. If their enemies were able to make droids and warships out of the Zillo Beast's armor, then the Republic would have a hard beating them back, but that wasn't the question right now. Who was the one leading the enemy fleet? Master Plo Koon questioned. I do not know, it couldn't have been Grievous as his tactics are too aggressive, and it can't be a tactical droid as they are too stupid. Dooku neither, as he was in a different theater of war at that moment. My guess is that it's someone new. Anakin answered. Someone who also knows how to disable our ship's tracking devices. Obi-Wan stated. This worried the Jedi Council. Someone was either spying for the Separatists or the enemy commander was a defector, but who could it be? I don't mean to make assumptions, but this new player might be Padawan Naruto. He fits in for the criteria. Naruto was one of our best commanders, knew how Republic ships worked and knew almost every tactics the Republic Navy used. He was exiled by order after all, so he has a reason to attack. One of the Jedi Masters stated as Anakin's eyes widened. Him, one of the best generals and one of the best Jedi Knights, defeated by a commander who was a Padawan. I don't mean to brag, but Padawan Naruto does not possess the skills of the enemy commander that attacked my fleet. Anakin stated. That might be the case, but we still need to investigate this. If it is him, then he is an enemy of the Order, and he would be considered a Rouge or a Sith. Do we know where he is? The same master questioned. Mandalore's moon, Concordia, he is at. Master Yoda finally spoke up as he opened his eyes. Padawan Naruto was one of the few students that he had high hopes for, yet something happened to him. He began to shut everyone off, including his own emotions. Now the Jedi was all about suppressing their emotions, but Naruto was on the path to killing his emotions. Thankfully he only turned them off, but still. Yoda thought back to the day the blonde first came to the Jedi temple. He was malnourished, thin and hungry. His eyes back then held nothing but sadness, but as he trained in the ways of the Force, he started to turn around, and then it all stopped. Yoda tried to use the Force and look into the boy's future, but he drew a blank. It baffled him. It was like he was not part of the Force, yet he could wield it. The boy was the master of his own destiny. I shall leave as soon as possible then. Obi-Wan stated as he stood up and began to leave. He had other reasons as well to visit Mandalore. He remembered the shock of Pandora leaving the Republic. Flashback. Master Jedis, I have some good news. The blockade on Pandora was broken by Separatist ships, and Prime Minister's daughters were saved. One by the Prime Minister himself and the other by the Separatist fleet that broke the blockade. However, there is also some bad news. The Prime Minister was removed from power and Senator Chuchi was elected Prime Minister. Ahsoka stated, much to everyone's shock. Then who will represent Pandora in the Senate? Windu questioned. Ahsoka gulped. No one. Pandora has withdrawn from the Galactic Senate and from the Republic. As of now, they have joined Mandalore in the neutral systems. She answered. This shocked many of the people in the room. How could this happen? This is bad. With Pandora leaving the Republic, we lose a staging point, but the main question is why they didn't join the Separatists, since the Separatists did break the blockade. Plo Koon questioned as everyone nodded. Clouded, the Force is, a different force is at play. Master Yoda stated as everyone looked at him. If what Master Yoda was saying was true, then a third part was joining in the war. Flashback end. We will let the Senate take care of this. For now, we need to find exiled Padawan Naruto and question him. We leave that task to you, Master Obi-Wan. May said as Obi-Wan nodded and left the room and headed for Mandalore. But Naruto. Naruto observed as the captured Separatists' blockade fleet was taken to a secret location of his droid army. It was on one of Pandora's moons. After all, the Republic won't look in a neutral system for droid factories and ships. But this, Pandora is under your control, through the shadows that is. Bo said as she walked out of the shadows. Indeed, how are things holding up on your end? Naruto questioned as she took off her helmet. I was able to convince Vizsla to spread anti-Republic propaganda throughout the neutral systems, telling him that we might be able to gain more support. It is already taking effect as many of the neutral systems have been starting to question the Republic and the war as a whole. By the time your forces are ready, many of these systems will join willingly. She reported. Naruto nodded. Everything was going according to plan. Very well, head back to the Death Watch. Don't want them to figure out you are gone. He stated as she nodded and started to leave. Oh, and be careful. He said. She stopped and looked at his back as he stared out into space. She smiled. He did care. Copy that. She replied and headed out. Once she was gone, Naruto left soon after. His intelligence had informed him of the Jedi's visit to Mandalore. Mandalore's moon, a few hours later. The Jedis have no proof of former Jedi Naruto Uzumaki being the attacker. He is the governor of this moon and he has done a great job at it as well. Satine said as she and Obi-Wan walked through the governor's building. I am sure that you have full confidence in the new governor, but he does have the reasons to do so, and the fact that your last governor also turned out to be the leader of Death Watch. Obi-Wan countered. Satine gritted her teeth. He was right. As they walked, Kenobi saw many droids walking around. I wasn't aware that Mandalore employed droids. He joked. I didn't buy them. Governor Naruto had them with him when he came to Mandalore and requested me to allow him to replace the guards for his droids. She stated as they kept walking and reached the governor's office. Opening it, Kenobi could see Naruto was working on some paperwork. Ah, General Kenobi, it's been a while. Naruto said as he looked up and put his pen down. Indeed it has been, though it seems like you are now just a paper pusher. Kenobi joked as Naruto chuckled a bit. Yes, a once feared Republic commander reduced to nothing more than a governor of a moon. Not for long though. He replied, saying the last part in his mind. Yes, well, as much as I hate to say it, but you are under suspicion of attacking the Republic. I am here to see if that is true. Kenobi said as Naruto faked a look of shock on his face. Well, then do what you must. Naruto said as he allowed Kenobi to do whatever he wanted. That would make things easier. Kenobi said with a sigh of relief. He and Satine then went on to inspect not only his governor's building, but also other parts of the moon. The search lasted for almost a day, but it soon came to an end with Kenobi finding nothing. I told you that the new governor would not do such a thing as take part in a war. Satine scolded Kenobi, who simply shrugged. If you say so, my lady. He said with a bow. Satine rolled her eyes. Bet up you fool. Come on, I have to go to Coruscant after this. I assume that the Republic sent security? She questioned. Kenobi nodded. Yes, my old student Anakin Skywalker will be part of it as well. Kenobi stated as they headed back to Mandalore. Naruto however had other plans. Such as his new warships that would be ready soon. All he needed now was the Death Watch to make their move on Mandalore. The plan was simple, have the Death Watch take Mandalore over by force when Satine was away. When Death Watch took over Mandalore, they would remove all government personals of the current government. With Satine away and the current government removed from power, he could then assume emergency powers and legally lead an army down to Mandalore and take power. It was within his powers to do so as the governor. He even had the authority to establish a whole new different government. Oh, start to plan on your end, Satine will be leaving soon. Naruto said as he turned on a holodisk. Understood. Bo replied as the transmission ended. Naruto then looked up as Kenobi's ship left the moon. Soon Mandalore will be reborn. He said to himself. Death Watch, Satine, the Republic, the Separatists, Palpatine and the Jedi Order were just all obstacles in his way, obstacles that would either stand aside or be removed by force. Death Watch. Vizsla, Satine and the Jedis have left Mandalore, this is a perfect moment to take over. Bo reported to Vizsla who hummed. What of the Separatists? Vizsla questioned. A few days ago, he was approached by the Separatists. They claimed that they would help him as his takeover and as a show of promise, they supplied him with weapons. What he didn't know was that the Separatist group he had met was part of Naruto's faction. Vizsla actually had no backup from the Separatists. They will aid us. Bo answered, knowing that Naruto would never send the droids or the fleet that was promised to Vizsla. It would be easy for Vizsla to overthrow Mandalore's government, but he didn't have a large enough force to hold Mandalore for a prolonged period of time. He needed the support of a major faction that would support his rule. Very well, assemble the troops. Vizsla ordered as he left to board his ship. Bo nodded. Fool, you are but a stepping stone for the real Mandalore to take power. She thought to herself. Vizsla might have been from an old house of Mandalorian warriors, but he was not the descendant of the last Mandalore. With that said, she had to gather the few loyal Death Watch soldiers who were willing to follow Naruto. They would act when they were ordered to by Naruto. But Naruto a few hours later. Death Watch should be making right about now. Naruto thought as he took a sip of his tea. He had to keep up his act as the innocent governor of Mandalore's moon. He would soon get a message from Mandalore that it has fallen. Just like that, the message came. Right on time. He thought as he turned on the hologram. This is Governor Naruto of Mandalore's moon, this is an emergency channel, who are you? Naruto said. He had to keep up his act. Governor, it's the Death Watch. They have attacked the government building and are in the process of overthrowing the government. We need help. The message ended right there as the messenger was killed. Perfect, now to make my move. Naruto said to himself as he stood up. He had a message to send out. Mandalore. Vizsla had taken Mandalore, after years of planning, he had done it. Now he ruled Mandalore and he would return it to its former glory. None shall be able to stand against the military might that he would rebuild. Even though the people didn't favor him now, they will soon enough. Nothing can stop his rule now. People of Mandalore. Expect for a former GD Padawan. Looking at the big screen, he noticed that the message was being broadcasted throughout Mandalore. It has come to my attention that the Death Watch has overthrown the Mandalorian government. Rest assured that I, Governor Naruto of Mandalore's moon Concordia, with the Duchess away and all current ruling figures of Mandalore either dead or imprisoned, I am hereby instated as the head of Mandalore. Rest assured Mandalore will be liberated from Death Watch. The message ended and Vizsla almost imploded in rage. He knew that there was no way that the new governor of Concordia could remove him from power. Mandalore had no large standing navy or army to do such a thing. However, that man has given hope to the otherwise peace-loving people of Mandalore. It didn't matter now, he could see the Separatist ships already entering the system. His victory was assured. Oh, how wrong he was. Satine was worried sick. Why? Well, she had just gotten a message a few hours ago about Mandalore being attacked by Death Watch. She knew that Mandalore's security forces would be no match to the well-trained and battle-hardened Death Watch and would soon fall to the Death Watch. Now she had no choice but to appeal to the Republic Senate to send a small force to drive out Death Watch and re-establish order. She knew that if she went to Mandalore alone, she would be killed and she had no real supporters other than the neutral systems, which were leaning towards the Separatists. There was no third party that she could get help from. So it was down to the Republic or the Separatists and she chose the Republic. Currently she had been waiting for almost 6 hours for the Senate to get ready and hear her request for help. Sometimes she hated the bureaucratic system of the Senate. When they were finally ready, she stepped on her repulsorpod that floated to the center of the Senate chamber. Senate of the Republic, as I speak to you, my homeworld, Mandalore, has been invaded by an organization known as the Death Watch. They have most likely wiped out the established government and have the Mandalorian system under control. I implore, please aid Mandalore in its time of need. She spoke as the many members of the Senate chatted amongst one another. While I would gladly dispatch a small force to free Mandalore from this Death Watch, I cannot. Mandalore is a neutral system and by that, I cannot send Republic aid. The Chancellor said sadly. Though on the inside he was smirking, allowing the war to spread to even more systems was always welcome to him. Satine gritted her teeth. But the Mandalorian government that established that has been overthrown, surely the neutrality that Mandalore holds is also shattered. This leaves Mandalore as a ruse planet that would either attack the Republic or join the Separatists, and having the Separatists take hold of the Mandalorian system would spill doom for the Republic, as the mines of Mandalore still hold a great number of raw resources for the Separatists' droid army. Satine countered. She didn't want Mandalore to join the Republic, but at least this way there was a reason for the Republic to go in and drive out Death Watch. This way, Mandalore could retain its neutrality after she could resume power. Padme's repulsorpod then came forward and floated next to Satine's. The Duchess makes a good point, perhaps we should send Republic forces to anything. Padme was about to say was cut off as the main holoprojector of the Senate chambers turned on and the lights dimmed inside the chambers. The hologram was that of Naruto, the governor of Mandalore's moon. Honorable Senate, my name is Naruto, governor of Mandalore's moon, and I am aware that you all know what has happened on Mandalore. Rest assured, I have exercised my emergency powers and have driven out Death Watch, Naruto said, as Satine gave a sigh of relief. It seems like Republic intervention was not needed after all. That being said, Mandalore's old government was disposed of by Death Watch. Currently Mandalore is without government, however I again used my emergency powers to instate a new government, with me in charge. He said, and already the Senate did not like where this was going. As such, I hereby declare Mandalore a free and independent system and reinstate the old Mandalorian military for the sake of safeguarding Mandalore. Henceforth, I shall be known as Mandalore the Exiled. He said as stepped back and the figure of Vizsla was brought for on his knees. His head was lowered and soon a black lightsaber decapitated the man. Naruto then stepped back in. Let this be a lesson, all those who dare invade Mandalore will find no quarter. Here and now Mandalore shall be reborn into the great force it once was. With that, the hologram turned off. This was a message, not just to the Republic, but to the galaxy. Satine had the look of horror on her face, while everyone in the chamber room was too stunned to say anything. Mandalore, that was a title that was long forgotten, but the deeds of past Mandalores and their crusaders haven't been forgotten. They were warriors that could face Jedis and Siths alike one-on-one. They were feared for a reason. After all, the clones of the Republic military were all clones of a Mandalorian warrior. They had to stop this new Mandalore become he can start some crusade. For Satine, however, it was all too much. Yet again she was betrayed by those she chose to trust and by a former Jedi no less. She was thrown out of power by him and now he has began the revival of an old culture. I believe that it is in the galaxy's best interest that we all vote on what to do with this Mandalore. Should Mandalore be left unchecked, they would grow in power to a point where they can oppose the Republic. I vote in favor of sending a Republic task force to put an end to this Mandalore's regime," the Chancellor stated. The vote was almost unanimous, the Republic was going to war with Mandalore. Satine a few minutes later. She could not believe it. Her homeworld, Mandalore, was now at war. Years of building peace were shattered in a single moment. What was even worse was that it wasn't Mandalore that started this war. Naruto did what he did as a message to stay away from Mandalore, but the fear of another Mandalorian crusade trumped everything, and the Republic had declared war on Mandalore. She heard the door open and in walked Padme. She had a concerned look on her face. "Are you okay, Satine?" she questioned her. Satine just sighed sadly. "War has come to Mandalore and you are asking me if I am okay. I am not okay. I was betrayed yet again by the ones I trusted, but this time all of Mandalore pays the price, and that price is war," Satine said as she sat down. Padme took a seat next to her. She could understand what Satine was feeling to a certain degree. "I know that it's hard. When war came to Naboo, many of my people died and I felt helpless, but do not worry. Mandalore shall be free and the Republic will make sure of it," Padme said, trying to give hope to her fellow senator. "I hope so. I never thought a former Jedi could do such a thing. Tell me, did you know him before him being expelled? It seemed like it back when you met him," Satine questioned. Padme stiffened at the question of her relationship with Naruto. "Yes, I knew him before his expulsion. He was one of the Jedi sent to help free Naboo," she answered. The door then opened as Obi-Wan entered the room. "Are you alright, Satine?" he questioned her. She just nodded sadly at him. Kenobi just sighed. To her, Mandalore was everything and that is why she had tried so hard to build peace, and now it was gone. "Do not worry. A fleet has already been dispatched to take the new Mandalore down," Kenobi said. The Republic had mustered up a fleet consisting of 6 Venator-class star destroyers, 8 Acclamator-class assault ships. It was quite the force that was assembled, but the real battle would be on the ground as they knew that Mandalore had no navy, the space of the planet would be easy to control. The ground would be hard-fought battle since all of the cities are located inside the large domes that in Mandalorian warriors are one of the best warriors in the galaxy. Satine only hoped that they succeed without much bloodshed. "With Naruto. You know that the Republic will send a fleet to remove you from power, right?" Bo questioned, to which Naruto nodded. "I want them to attack us, that way we can get other planets to join us. After all, the Republic is known to leave neutral systems alone, but say if the Republic attacks a neutral and independent system, then they would lose face in the eyes of the galaxy," Naruto said. "I am surprised that you had it all planned out. Vizsla never thought that far when it came to securing Mandalore's future under his rule," she stated. Naruto scoffed at the mention of that man's name. Vizsla was a short-sighted fool. He didn't seek to build his own army, but rather looked to others to give him an army. "A true Mandalorian knows that everything is earned, not given to you," Naruto said as he waited for the Republic fleet. The plan was simple. The Republic was unaware of the fact that he had a large enough navy to stop any and all invasions of Mandalore and the fact that he had smarter droids. Touring on a holoprojector, he pressed a few buttons and a simulation started to play. "The plan is simple, once they enter the system and get close to Mandalore, we will jump out of hyperspace behind them. With us in the rear and Mandalore to the front, they would have 2 choices, head straight for Mandalore, which would leave their rear exposed, or turn back around to face my fleet, and that would leave the sides of their ships exposed. The Republic ships have many weaknesses, the rear and the sides being the greatest along with the top. They are designed for a full frontal attack, and as such most of the armor and shielding is installed to the front," Naruto explained as the simulation played out before him. "I am guessing that you know all of this because of your experience with the Republic?" she questioned. "Yes, we were taught our ship's weaknesses in order to prevent us from showing them," he answered. Pressing another button, he showed a few Mandalorian starfighters. "Also, you will be leading the Mandalorian fighter squadrons as well in the battle. Droids are good, but having real pilots is better," he stated. She simply nodded, and before she went down to the hangars, she gave him a kiss on cheek, leaving him frozen with his eyes wide as dinner plate. All he heard was the giggled as she left the bridge. "Ah, sir, the Republic fleet has entered the system," a droid reported, but he received no answer. "Do you think he's having a malfunction?" another droid questioned. "No, you idiot, he's not a droid," the first droid answered. "How am I supposed to know that?" the second droid countered. The first droid just gave him a blank look. Why were droids so stupid sometimes? "Sir, the Republic fleet has entered the system," the droid said again. This Naruto looked at the droid. "Right, have the fleet jump out of hyperspace." Naruto nodded, to which the droid gave out the ever-immortal Roger Roger response. Bring his hand up to his cheek, he blushed. Wait. Did he blush? And what was up with his heartbeat? It was all out of whack. Damn it. Focus. He had a battle to win, an invasion to stop, and a woman to ask out. Wait, what? Ask who out? What is this feeling? he thought to himself. He felt like this before, but this feeling was far greater than what he felt the first time around. "Sir, the Republic ships are in Rang," a droid reported. Naruto once again shook his head. There was a battle at hand right now. Looking ahead, he spotted the semi-large Republic fleet sent to liberate Mandalore, as they would put it, and he could feel their arrogance of a quick victory. They hadn't even spotted him when he was right behind them. Guess he would have to make an example of them. "Fire when ready," Naruto ordered, simple, and just like that, the light show began as every ship in his fleet started firing red lasers at the exposed Republic fleet. He then rethought everything about this battle. This wasn't going to be a battle, it was going to be a massacre. DD General Pong Krell is a proud man, a furious warrior and a ruthless general. A war hero, he was recognized as a man who could get a job done at any cost. However, his recent actions had led to the Jedi Order and the Grand Army of the Republic to become wary of him. His actions on Umbara had led to him being recalled back to the Jedi Temple for a re-evaluation. He was almost killed by the clones of the 501st due to him leading them to their deaths and showing no sympathy or concern for the clones who fell in battle. Under his leadership, the Republic suffered 60% casualties on Umbara, most of them due to his relentless tactics on the battlefield. He was saved by Obi-Wan and Skywalker just before he was supposed to be executed for treason and crimes against the Republic. He was re-evaluated and deemed fit to serve once more, but was demoted to a Jedi Knight. Now, here he was, leading the assault on Mandalore. This would be his chance to regain his honor and position as a Jedi Master. He had no love for the clones, he saw them as nothing more than tool to be used in war. He had no love for the Jedi either. Outwardly, he maintained the appearance of his ties to the Jedi and Republic, in secret he had embraced the dark side of the Force. He would never admit it, for if he did, he would be branded as a traitor and hunted down. While he didn't like clones, he knew they could be a very effective fighting force, and he did not want to have the Republic hunting him. "General Krell, we are entering the atmosphere," the captain of the ship said as he saluted the Jedi commander. Krell was known to be intolerable of insubordination and required a strict adherence to command from all of his soldiers, lest they be executed under the pretext of insubordination. None of the clones liked Krell before, but after his actions of Umbara the clones hated him. "Good, have the gunships ready to send a vanguard to secure the capital, the transport ship will follow after," Krell ordered, much to the shock of everyone on the bridge, but kept working. But sir, wouldn't it be best if we establish a foothold on the planet and along with a supply line and reinforce our positions before we head to the capital? The capital is surely to be heavily defended. The captain protested as many of the clones on the bridge went eyes wide. The captain must have had a death sentence, but he made fair points. Sending clone gunships with a handful of clones to take on the whole capital city was sure to be a suicide mission. Krell turned around and looked at the captain with anger in his eyes. "Tell me, Captain, who is the commander that was assigned to lead this invasion?" Krell questioned, "Well, sir, that would be you," the captain answered under the ruthless gaze of his commander. "Exactly, and as such you will follow my orders and keep your opinions to yourself," Krell ordered with a growl. He would not tolerate these clones from questioning his methods and orders. "Yes, sir," the captain responded as he went on to give the order. He hated it. He was going to send his men to their deaths and he couldn't do anything about it. It was either get killed by the enemy or get killed by his commander. The captain of the ship was a clone trooper once, and his ability to lead an entire battalion into battle and win is what got him promoted to a captain. The clone as a captain of a ship was unheard of before, but it was possible, and as such, he was about to send his brothers to their deaths. Just as he was about to exit the bridge, the entire ship shook. The captain stumbled as he got back up on his feet and looked out to starboard and witnessed a Separatist fleet right behind them. "We are under attack. Separatist warships have launched an attack behind us," one of the many yelled out as Krell growled. What were the Separatists doing here? This wasn't their war. Now he had two choices, keep pushing to Mandalore or turn around and face the enemy. He chose turning around. "Turn the fleet around, we will deal with these Separatists first and the Mandalorians second," Krell ordered as they all obeyed him. "General Krell, is that you? I see that you weren't executed for what you did on Umbara." Krell looked to find the origin of the voice, only to find the holodeck turned on and a hologram of the Mandalore, Naruto, standing there. The others in the bridge looked at the hologram as well. "So, I see that you have joined the Separatist, traitor," Krell stated. Naruto just shook his head. "Wrong, I didn't join the Separatists, I made my own droid army, but enough of that. It seems like the Order deemed you fit to serve once more, how foolish of them," Naruto said with disappointment in his voice and on his face. Krell narrowed his eyes. "What do you mean?" he questioned as Naruto looked at him with a knowing look on his face. "The fact that you have embraced the dark side of the Force," Naruto answered, much to Krell's shock. He was sure that he had masked that aspect of him. The others looked at Krell with questioning looks. They all knew what the dark side of the Force was and what happened once someone had embraced it, and yet the council still allowed him to serve. Naruto looked at everyone in the bridge and observed their reactions. This was what he wanted. He was broadcasting the transmission to the entire Republic fleet and all over their ships. Captain Rommel was it. You were a clone once, and if I am correct you served under me once as well before your promotion. Tell me, do you really want to serve this man? Naruto questioned. The now named Captain Rommel thought about the question he was asked. He had no love for Krell, no one in the Republic did, and to be honest, he had no love for the Republic. They were seen as tools, not even living beings. Their own creators, the Kaminoans, saw them as nothing more than lab rats. However, he felt it was his duty to defend those who could not defend themselves and fight to keep the galaxy at peace. He decided to grow a backbone for once and stand up for what he really believed in. No, I don't like serving under him, no one does. He answered. He knew Naruto and he had served under him once, many of his brothers had served under him once, and he was a true leader. He fought with everything in his mind. He put the safety of his men and civilians first then his own, and he believed that Naruto was innocent regarding the loss of his legion. Naruto smirked. Good answer. Now I will ask you another question, would you and your brothers be willing to join my side? Naruto questioned much to everyone's shock. He had just attacked them and now he was asking them to join him. Krell was not about to have any of that. You are a traitor and the enemy, even they clones know that, Krell stated. He shouldn't have said that, as the clones now grew angry. Naruto's smirk only grew bigger. Oh, this was turning out better than he hoped. He had recalled back the fighters and ordered a ceasefire. This was a perfect chance to get a Republic fleet to defect and join his faction. Really? Am I really the traitor? I fought for the Republic, I fought for my men, and I would have gladly thrown my life away if it meant saving a single soldier, and what was my reward? Betrayal. Betrayed the Republic and betrayed by my Jedi comrades. I extend my offer to all clones, the Republic is corrupt and evil, it is not what it seems. They will use you and discard you like trash. I know the life of a clone soldier. You all fight and fight, but never get a break, never allowed to have a life outside of a soldier's life. Is this what you all want? To live as nothing more than soldiers? What will happen when the war ends? The Republic Navy will be dismantled and decommissioned as it was long ago after the old Republic. What will you do then? Naruto questioned. He could feel the clones thinking, their faith in the Republic was crumbling. Good. You will all grow old and die due to the aging process you all go through. You will all die within a decade after the war is over. You won't be remembered as the heroes you are, but only as the clone army that had once fought. Is that what you want? To have the sacrifices of you and your brothers be forgotten? Naruto questioned them once more. He could see their answers written on their faces. Then I ask of you to join me. You all are Mandalorians, as the donor of your genes was a Mandalorian himself, and as such you are all Mandalorians. Not only that, but all have shared the same blood with myself, as the donor of your genes was my uncle. Join me and I shall grant you a real life. Naruto said as he could see the shock written all over their faces. He was related to them and for once he wasn't a clone. He was their nephew. He was family. Family, that word was so foreign to them. All they had was their own clone brothers as family, nothing else, yet at some point all of them had wondered what it was like to have a real family. He was offering them everything they had once wanted, but had pushed aside for the sake of serving the Republic. Join me, and together we can save the galaxy from this war that has waged on for long enough. We can put an end to the slaughter of your brothers and the innocent. Naruto proclaimed, and it was at this moment one of the greatest betrayals occurred in the history of the Republic and would forever be known as the betrayal at Mandalore. Krell looked around as the clones armed their weapons and slowly approaching him. He growled. Insubordinate bastards. I'll kill you all. Krell yelled as he pulled out his lightsabers and was ready to kill them all, but found himself the victim of a force choke. He looked back at Naruto as he was slowly lifted up. Do not threaten those belonging to my family, my people, or anyone else I associate with. Kill him. He said, ordered as the clones complied and aimed their blasters and let loose a rain of blue-colored lights, and with that done Naruto let the body of the now dead Jedi commander fall to the ground as the clones cheered. Finally, that bastard of a Jedi was dead. I welcome you all to Mandalore, your home. Naruto said through the transmission before ending it. Home, yes, Mandalore was their home, not Kamino. They might have been born on Kamino, but they were Mandalorian in every way. Being a Mandalorian was not a race, but rather a culture. Coruscant, a few hours later. Everyone was confident when they had heard that a sizable fleet was sent to free Mandalore, and even more so when they had heard that Krell would be leading the charge. Granted that he was not all that popular amongst the Jedi or the clone army, but he was well liked by the people, as many of them had similar views regarding the clones. In the Senate chambers there was a session going on regarding a new bill, but that session ended when the latest news on the Mandalore Liberation Force arrived. They all had cheered and were already congratulating themselves on a quick and rapid victory. However, the news they received was complete opposite. The Republic fleet sent to free Mandalore has defecated, were the words of one Anakin Skywalker. This was absurd. Sure, he had faced would-be defectors before in the clone ranks, but he had never seen a defection of this size and scale. A whole fleet just up and switched sides. Not only that, but Commander Krell was also executed by clones themselves. This was a disaster and a great blow to the morale of the Republic Navy. Not to mention that this also caused anti-clone riots to increase rapidly, and a rift began to form between the clones and the Republic. We didn't expect something like to happen, but it is troubling. Now he has a small fleet and battle-hardened soldiers at his command. Padme said as she looked around the small room and at her friend Satine. She was depressed again and was losing what little faith she had in the Republic quite rapidly. Troubling indeed. I will have to talk about this to Master Yoda and the other masters. We might need a larger force to free Mandalore now. Kenobi said as he stroked his beard. Satine sighed, this was all her fault and now thousands would die because of her. She had trusted the Republic to free her people, but it was so corrupt that even the clones sent to free Mandalore had defected. Who could she turn to now to help her free her people? Jedi Temple. I believe that we should join his side, Master. Alyssa stated as she talked to Shak Ti. During what free time they had done their own investigation and everything Naruto had said was true and now they began to rethink the Jedi Order itself. How can they help others in the galaxy if they isolate themselves? How can they understand people when they are told to suppress their emotions? It seemed like everything the Jedi were meant to do contradicted the Jedi code. How could there be peace without emotions? How could they be knowledgeable, yet be arrogant at the same time? How can one achieve serenity when they have no passion to achieve anything? How can they claim that there is no chaos when a brutal war rages on, yet they call it harmony? How can they claim that there is no death and only the Force, when in fact, death is very real? Everything she had learned about the Order was no being put to the test. Patience, we must not make a decision in such a hasty manner. All will be revealed in due time. Master Shak Ti answered as Alyssa nodded, but deep down she wanted to join his side, that was what her heart wanted. The figure hidden in the shadows walked through the narrow hallways of his ship and entered his personal chambers before kneeling and bowing his head. Before him, the hologram activated and the hologram of man appeared before him. Though many of the features of the man were hidden, other than the large nose. Dooku, I hope you know what is going on in the galaxy. The man questioned darkly as the now identified Dooku raised his head. Yes, Master, I assume this is about Mandalore. Dooku answered and questioned at the same time as his master nodded. Indeed, Mandalore is of great value for our future plans. The moon of Mandalore and Mandalore itself holds great resources that have yet to be exploited, especially Mandalorian iron that would make our droid armies far more powerful than ever before. Not to mention that Mandalore is also a key system that lies in the mid-rim, effectively controlling trade and the only planet with dry docks, large enough to handle large ships, going from the inner rim worlds to the outer rims in the northeastern half of the galaxy. Dooku's master explained as Dooku nodded in his head, Mandalore would be critical if they wanted to establish supply lines. Not to mention that a new Mandalore has come to power and the fact that he has successfully prevented a Republic invasion of Mandalore. With each passing moment he grows stronger. Dooku, you must stop him at all cost. We cannot allow another faction to gain power to oppose both sides. He ordered Dooku. But Master, there are other planets and battlefields that require the attention of the droid army. We do not have the resources to launch an invasion of Mandalore. That was all Dooku said before his master silenced him. Enough. Your orders are clear, destroy this new Mandalore and take Mandalore. It should be even easier since Mandalore is no longer a neutral system and are an enemy of the Republic. They are fighting a two-front war, one they cannot win. Dooku's master ordered as Dooku bowed his head. Very well, it shall be done, Master. Dooku stated as the hologram deactivated. With his orders clear, Dooku stood up and left his chambers and headed to the bridge. He had to select a fleet commander for the fleet that would be sent to invade Mandalore, and he knew who to select. Coruscant. The Republic Council was in a panic. Mandalore's invasion had failed via immunity that led to a Jedi commander's execution. This raised concerns about other clones in the Republic Army and gave fuel to those who wanted to get rid of clones and replace them with proper Republic Army like those of the old Republic, but it would never be large enough as the clone army. Plus that would require increase in taxes for training new recruits since clones are already trained genetically and are genetically adapted to learn faster than others. New Mandalore, as people were calling it, was not even a threat as it had no military force to speak of that was large enough to defend itself, but after the failure of the Liberation Fleet to restore the old government. Now Mandalore had a fleet, a small fleet, but a fleet that consisted of crack clone troopers that were veterans of many battles, and many of them had been fighting since the start of the war and were starting to be called stormtroopers. However, that was the least of their worries. Many neutral systems started to support Mandalore, giving supplies, resources, ships and recruits. While officially they were not allied with Mandalore, unofficially they had an alliance, but the Republic couldn't do anything about them, since they had no evidence of these neutral systems being in an alliance with Mandalore. The council chamber was filled with meetings almost every day now, and they all had a very good reason as to why they were concerned about Mandalore. Many times in the past, Mandalore had risen to power and waged brutal wars and crusades against the galaxy, and in one such war, Coruscant was sacked by Mandalorians. No one wanted Mandalorian crusaders going around sacking planets, and many of the planets within Mandalore's reach were allied with the Republic. "Don't worry Satine, Mandalore will be freed." Padme tried to comfort her friend, but it didn't seem to be working. "Free? The Republic failed and now that madman has an army," Satine stated. She had given up hope in the Republic and now she didn't know who to turn to. Padme frowned. The very man who had once fought to free Naboo had now become man who overthrew a government and took power. Deep down, she wondered if this was all her fault. Maybe it was because of her he was set upon this path. She was about to speak before Anakin rushed in. "You have to see this," he said as the two stood up and headed into the council chamber and there was hologram of Naruto, Mandalore the Exiled. Mandalore is an independent and free system, yet the Republic did not care and sent a fleet to liberate Mandalore. I ask you this, from whom did the Republic seek to free Mandalore? The Mandalorians themselves. This proves how the Republic has become corrupt to the core. They invade systems that cannot defend themselves by force, false flag operations, or though political bullying. Mandalore will not be subjected to such vile attempts, and we will fight to our last breath to defend our neutrality, however that neutrality was shattered by the Republic. They brought war to Mandalore, and war is what they shall have and as such, I hereby declare war on the Republic, an organization that uses clones as slave soldiers to fight battles for them. An organization that only cares for the rich star systems while it leaves the poor and the less valuable systems defenseless. I urge the many clones across the many battlefields across the galaxy to look within themselves. I urge them to think for themselves and not as soldiers of the Republic. You all have Mandalorian blood and are descendants of Mandalore the Ultimate. By all rights you are citizens of Mandalore, not slaves of the Republic, and I urge you to join me to bring about an end to this corrupt and flawed galactic system that has only caused wars and leaves the weak to perish. Today will mark the beginning of the end for the Republic. Naruto proclaimed as many people gasped and started to mutter. This man he had just denounced the Republic. The political system that had lasted for tens of thousands of years. How could he so simply say that it was a failed system? Just then the hologram faded away and one of Palpatine's whispered something into his ear. "Order. Order." Palpatine ordered as people calmed down and turned towards him. The Chancellor seemed worried as to what he had just heard. "It is with grave news I tell you that multiple uprisings have occurred throughout the mid-rim worlds, all which have aligned themselves with Mandalore. I fear that a new faction has joined this war," the Chancellor stated as everyone gasped at the news that was delivered. Even Palpatine was seething in anger. This was not part of the plan. Now Dooku will have a harder time trying to take over Mandalore. It didn't help that many of those systems had fleets of their own and were very capable in defending themselves, however before action could be taken, the hologram came back on. This time it was Admiral Tarkin. "Chancellor, I have some grave news. I am receiving news that multiple clone divisions have rebelled against their commanding officers, along with many Republic ships that have mutinied. All in all we have lost so far 156 vessels, of which 46 are Venator-class star destroyers," the Admiral reported. "Great, even more bad news, but this was the worst of all. The Republic now lost thousands if not millions of soldiers. This was bad, and the Separatists would see this as a chance to attack the Republic. The Republic was now in disarray, and with the loss of so many soldiers and ships, it greatly reduced their operational capability. Meaning that they would have to withdraw from other minor systems and consolidate their forces within the more valuable systems, meaning they would have to leave many systems to their fate. The next few years would be known as the dark and final years of the Republic. This is chaos, the Republic is falling apart, and many of these senators will most likely withdraw from the Republic, since many of their systems will be abandoned," Padme said as she and her small group left the chamber. "I knew I couldn't trust the Republic. They failed, and now many will die as a result of this three-way war that Naruto has created," Satine stated. This was the end, and the Republic was now on a path of self-destruction. She noticed how Padme tensed up at the mention of Naruto's name. It seemed like Padme knew something that she didn't. "Padme, tell me, what was your relationship with Naruto?" she questioned as Padme now stopped and almost fell. "What do you mean my relationship with him?" Padme questioned. Satine narrowed her eyes, something was amiss. Padme knew something and she was not going to give up. "Tell me, Padme." She questioned. Padme looked around nervously before looking back at Satine, who clearly was not going to back down. Well, it was a long time ago she started. This was one story that she would regret telling. But Naruto. Naruto sighed as he sat on his throne. Managing a star system was quite taxing, but he handled it, though he smirked at his handiwork. He had waited a week to allow the anti-clone movement to grow by allowing them the chance to use the betrayal over Mandalore to their advantage and allow anti-clone prejudice to grow even more. The clones were now frowned upon by the people and even hated. This would make sure that the clones would have a clear choice to make when choosing sides. This was his main game. He wanted a large-scale rebellion from the clone army to occur to bolster his forces as he had few, but now he would have gained the forces required to defend his territory and expand. As he plotted, he spotted Bo entering the room, and it was then he remembered what had occurred a week ago and slightly blushed. Bo, how can I help you? He questioned. Damn it. Where the hell did that stutter come from? He then saw Bo smirk, and he gulped. Oh dear, this was not good. So, Naruto care to go out for a date? She questioned as she walked up to him and sat on his lap. That did it for the poor bastard as his whole herd turned red. He had not forgotten that kiss, and he was quite reluctant to get into a relationship, but he knew that he had to move on. Sure. He answered. Bo smiled as she gave him another kiss before heading out. Great. Pick me up 2 hours from now. She said as she walked out, leaving a very embarrassed Naruto. Naruto gathered his emotions before sighing. That woman was going to be the death of him, though little did he know that there were others who would like to be the death of him. He then went back to plotting. His first action would be to bring the planet Tanaab under his control. The world was home to several agricultural projects which created food used to feed billions of inhabitants of mid-rim and outer rim worlds. This conquest would provide Mandalore and every other mid-rim systems allied with Mandalore with a great source of food. It would also allow him to control a vital hyperspace line that ran all the way from Coruscant to Corban. With the control of such a vital line, he could literally launch a direct attack on Coruscant, but that would have to wait. Tanaab would have to fall first. Just then, another Mandalorian warrior walked in and kneeled before him. My lord, we have reports of Republic ships entering our system. They claim to be wanting to join our cause. The Mandalorian warrior said as Naruto nodded. Good, have them dock on Concordia. Naruto ordered as the Mandalorian warrior nodded, but it seemed that he had something more to say. Also, we have found his armor. Naruto's eyes widened. They had found his forefather's armor. Mandalore, the ultimate armor, was found. Good, where is it? He questioned as he noticed the warrior tense up. It appears that the stories about Death Revan taking the armor and mask were false, and it left on the planet Malachor V. Our scouting party was able to confirm that the armor and mask are on the planet, but due to the planet being strong with the dark side of the Force and the fact that our ships aren't able to stay in the planet's orbit long enough due to its gravitational effects, we aren't able to retrieve it. The warrior answered as Naruto sighed. He had hoped that the armor and mask weren't on Malachor V. It was once a Sith stronghold, and like Corriban, it was strong with a dark side, not to mention the cataclysm caused by the mass shadow generator that destroyed the planet, turning it into a cracked and twisted wasteland. He would have to go there himself. Have my personal craft ready by tomorrow. I shall go there myself to retrieve it. Naruto said as the Mandalorian warrior nodded and went on to do as he was instructed. Naruto, however, had a date to get ready for. The next day. Naruto's ship jumped out of hyperspace and slowly approached Malachor V. Malachor V was nothing more than a wasteland of a planet. Once home to a Sith stronghold, it was reduced to a cracked and twisted wasteland thanks to the mass shadow generator that was used in the times of the Old Republic. Even with the planet and the system as a whole left in such a dead state, he could still feel the dark side of the Force oozing out of Malachor V. He suspected that the planet being a second home for the Sith caused the planet to be consumed by the dark side, and the use of the mass shadow generator, a weapon that tapped into the Force itself, left the planet in such a state. Corriban was just like it, only there was no mass shadow generator. Because Corriban was considered the home of the Sith, it is far more powerful with the dark side than Malachor V. He was, however, looking for something else. There. He said in his mind as he spotted a very old destroyed Mandalorian battlecruiser. It was falling apart, but he was surprised to find it still in good condition. Putting on his space gear, he opened the beat pit of his fighter and made his way towards the battlecruiser. Once entering it, he started to search the bridge, all the while feeling the dark side trying to seduce him, but he ignored it as he kept on searching, and then when he reached the bridge, he found what he was looking for. But this, Mandalore will truly be reborn. He thought. Mandalore a few hours later. Sir, we have a problem. A clone reported to the Admiral Rommel as he viewed over the large fleet of former droid and Republic ships. They were now the first Mandalorian fleet. What's wrong? Rommel questioned. Everything was going well for now. Two fleets had entered the system. One of Separatists and the second is the Republic, both are large. The clone reported. Rommel raised an eyebrow. Were the Republic and Separatists working as one to stop Mandalore? Have the fleet take planetary defensive formation, we won't let a single troop transport through our defense. Rommel stated as the two hostile fleets approached from two different directions. Enemy fighters are heading our way, there has to be about at least 1,000 of them. Another clone reported as the swarm of fighters, mixed with bombers, could be seen. Do not fear. Intensify the forward shields, launch our fighters. Order the fleet to slowly start to reverse into the planet's atmosphere, the planetary shield will keep us safe. Rommel ordered as all available fighters launched. It was strange. Since the start of the war, they had fought the droid army, and now they were fighting alongside them. He watched as fighters from both sides began to engage each other, as laser blasts were lighting up the dark space like fireworks. He noticed that the enemy fleets were getting closer and closer to him and to each other. Then, the Separatists' fleet opened fire at the Republic fleet. The Republic fired back, and soon they both started to engage each other. I guess we should count ourselves lucky, seems like they've started to fight with each other. Have some of our droid frigates take up a flanking position and hold. Bring the rest of the fleet to a halt. He ordered as 6 droid frigates began to move right of the fleet. As the two fleets got closer and closer, the 6 frigates started to appear as if they were almost behind the two fleets. Good, now then, have the fleet push forward, fire and will. He ordered as the rest of the fleet began to head straight into the battle and began to unleash barrage after barrage of turbo lasers at the two fleets. Some of the smaller ships tried to retreat, but the 6 frigates stopped them. The battle went on, and the hostile fleet started to take heavy damage. Soon, the command cruisers began to turn around. Sir, a few of the enemy ships are warming up their hyperdrive, they are trying to escape. A clone reported. Let them go, we need to conserve our forces. Rommel ordered as the few enemy command cruisers jumped away. The rest of the two fleets tried to escape, but many of them were destroyed, and some of them surrendered. The battle was over and the winner was Mandalore once again. He quickly began to order the fleet back into formation and recalled the fighters. The enemy was broken and now would think twice when they attacked Mandalore. Not to mention that the Republic suffered heavy losses. Sir, we have unknown ships exiting out of hyperspace. A clone officer yelled out, another attack again, and so soon. Turning around to look out the bridge, he spotted about 30 ships jump out of hyperspace. They were strange-looking ships. They were about 800 meters long and looked very much like Republic attack cruisers. However, the difference was that the ship was split down the center with 2 hangars in the end. Sir, we have an incoming transmission from the unknown fleet. A clone officer reported. Put it through. Rommel nodded. Admiral Rommel. Naruto's voice echoed through the bridge as he bowed. My lord. Rommel said with a bow. Do not fear, my friend. The fleet before you is an old fleet that once belonged to an ancient empire. Naruto said as Rommel raised an eyebrow. If I may ask, my lord, what is the class of those ships? Rommel questioned as Naruto nodded. These ships are all Harem-class dreadnoughts. They are old, meaning they are inferior to many of today's ships, however, they will make for good hit-and-run tactics. Naruto explained. Really? It's like the Republic Crusaders are based off of their designs, Rommel commented. They wedge-like shape looked very similar to Republic Crusaders. I found this old fleet during my journey. The ships were abandoned and many are in poor condition. They will need repairs before they are battle-worthy. Naruto stated, to which Rommel nodded. Those ships look like they were going to fall any second. Wait, how did you get them all here? Rommel questioned. If those ships were unmanned, how was he able to get them all to get here? Simple, I was able to rewire their navigation computers to my personal ship and was able to control every ship manually through my ship. It was easy to do since the navigation computers on these ships are very simple as they are outdated by quite a bit. Speaking of outdated, we will also need to rearm these ships and modernize them. Naruto said as Rommel nodded again in understanding. Very well, I shall have the ship sent to the appropriate shipyards to carry out the repairs and refitting. Rommel said with a bow. By the way, why is there a whole bunch of destroyed ships floating around? Naruto questioned as Rommel sighed. Well, you see. With the Republic. We sustained heavy losses. Our transports were wiped out, along with many of our cruisers. A few of our command cruisers escaped. Anakin reported with a fallen look on his face. The second battle to liberate Mandalore was by far the worst battle in the Republic Navy. Not a single enemy ship was destroyed or damaged, and the losses on their sides were massive. We lost well over 40,000 clone troopers. Not only that, but it appears the Separatists were also trying to take Mandalore for themselves, on the same day no less. They engaged us as soon as we were in range. Obi-Wan reported as he stood next to Anakin. Unacceptable, these losses are. Losing more troopers, we cannot afford. Yoda commented as everyone nodded. With a large majority of the Republic Navy and clone army switching sides, the Republic was low on manpower. As such, many smaller systems and worlds were abandoned, left to fend for themselves. We have to retake Mandalore at all cost. We cannot allow former Padawan Naruto to gain any more time than he has already achieved. If he is able to consolidate his forces and gain allies, he could become a threat greater than the Separatists. Mace Windu stated. He was adamant in regaining Mandalore. Master Windu is correct. Mandalore lies in a strategically important position, having access to many hyperspace lanes. We cannot allow the Mandalorians to use the hyperspace lanes for their own advantage. We must mount another assault on Mandalore. Chancellor Palpatine stated as Kenobi shook his head. With all due respect, we have lost many ships and men, both of which could have been better spent on strengthening our front lines. The largest enemy we have to face is the Separatists. I fear that they are growing stronger due to the Republic leaving many systems. Kenobi stated as they all nodded at that. Separatists. General Grievous growled as he slammed his fist onto one of his loyal droids. The mission was a failure. The battle for Mandalore was lost before his ships could even fire a shot at the Mandalorian fleet. Aim you Kenobi. Grahh. Grievous growled. If only that Republic fleet wasn't there, then he would have crushed those Mandalorians. General Grievous, if Grievous could still roll his eyes, he would have. He turned around to find the hologram of Dooku. Hound, what do you want? Grievous questioned. He was not in a good mood. Dooku narrowed his eyes and released a bit of his force. Grievous backed down. He was strong, but he wasn't foolish. How did the battle go? The Count questioned as Grievous gulped, if he could have that is. We lost the battle. Grievous answered as he could feel the pressure. The Count was angry. How? He questioned as Grievous gave him all the details about the battle. Dooku sighed. He wasn't expecting the Republic to attack at the same time. It doesn't matter for now. Your job now is take the systems the Republic left. There are untold riches we can extract from them. Dooku said before he ended the transmission. Grievous growled once more. Indeed, Grievous wasn't a happy general. With Naruto. I see Naruto trailed off as he stared into the nothingness of space. He closed his eyes and took in a deep breath. The Separatists will try again, but not anytime soon. However, the Republic will try again. Therefore, we must put a stop to them. I have chosen the planet Tanaab to be our first target. The Republic will defend this planet as it feeds countless core and mid-core systems. It is the source of trillions of inhabitants. Taking it will cut off the supply of food for many core and mid-core systems. The Republic and the Separatists will be forced to come to the negotiation table, as many of their allied systems will revolt as a result of starvation. Naruto said as Rommel nodded. It would bring a quick end to the war, not to mention that the Republic has lost much of its fleet. I suggest we also start capturing or destroying trade convoys. That will speed up things. Rommel suggested as Naruto nodded. He knew that Mandalore at its current state could not withstand a full-scale invasion from both sides. He needed to end this war first and build up his forces. By the way, did you find the armor? Rommel questioned as Naruto grinned a bit and walked away. Rommel raised his eyebrow. Did he miss something? With Naruto a few hours later. Naruto had called for a speech as people gathered in the massive courtyard below the platform that he would stand on to give his speech. The warships defending Mandalore were filled with clones and Mandalorians alike, looking at small screens, trying to catch a glimpse of the coming speech. Naruto, however, was dressing up in the armor of his ancestor. Bo whistled as she watched him put on the armor. I have to say, I have only known about that armor through its legend, but actually seeing it, well, it looks a lot more frightening and powerful. She commented, dressed in her own Mandalorian battle armor. She was his personal bodyguard and that was shown through the red and black coloring of her armor. Yes, when I found it, it was shrouded in dark energy. This armor is not your average armor, it is a symbol that represents the might of Mandalore and the Mandalorian people. He said. He was about to put the mask on, but was stopped by Bo. He looked at her as she smiled and closed in for a quick kiss. For luck. She said as she let go of his hand. He nodded with a small smile and put on his mask. Bo followed his example as she slid her helmet on. With that, the two proceeded to walk out onto the large platform where many other guards waited for them. Naruto walked forward. The crowd silenced and waited for their leader to begin his speech. People of Mandalore, he began, his voice altered a bit due to the mask. For too long you have been shunned, oppressed, and conquered by those who feared you. We were once a proud people. Our warriors the best of the best, our people the bravest of the bravest, but look at us now. Reduced to nothing more than peace-loving fools that would welcome the enemy rather than resist. You all know of the Death Watch, a group of fanatics who seized power to rule over you with an iron fist. They existed and they were allowed to exist due to the Duchess. He spoke as people murmured and nodded alone. Why was Death Watch not eliminated? The old government was well aware of them. Are we so weak that we allow other powers to push us around? Have we not been humiliated enough in the many centuries that have passed since our fall from glory? How much of our territory was stolen away from us, given away to other systems to prevent Mandalore from becoming a great power? When would you rise up and say no more? He questioned as people began to shout and agree with him. Mandalore had suffered enough from the major powers and neighboring systems. He took a while, looking at the crowd of people. Then pointed towards his armor. This armor was once a great symbol of power, one that rallied the many Mandalorian clans and species of the galaxy to forge the greatest culture and warriors the galaxy has ever seen. Where are those warriors now? He questioned as everyone knew what he was talking about. Mandalore had fallen from its glory days long ago. I extended an offer for peace to the Republic in their answer. A fleet sent to eliminate me, you, the people of a proud warrior race. The Republic cares little for peace. They want nothing more than absolute control over every system in the galaxy. To govern them as they see fit. Who are they to say what is right and what is wrong? Naruto questioned as many shouted down with the Republic or death to the Republic. The Separatists are also similar, they seek to conquer and rule. They care not if others suffer. My people. Sons and daughters of Mandalore, it is time we rise. It is time we take up arms. It is time we retake what was rightfully ours. It is time that Mandalore is reborn into the Mandalorian Empire. If the Republic and the Separatist can't say what is right and wrong, then so can we. We shall unite the galaxy under a single banner. A banner that will be the beacon of hope for those who have lost it. It shall be a deterrent for those who have no other recourse. It is time we push on the offensive and tell our would-be conquerors that the days when Mandalore would bow to them are long gone. This is a new Mandalore, a Mandalore that will be forged in blood and steel. Naruto said as the people began to chant for Mandalore. They had a new leader now, one who was willing to use force to protect his people. This wasn't just your average government change, this was the beginning of a revolution that would bring about an empire that would last for thousands of years to come. Naruto observed a fleet that was assembled just above Mandalore. For the past few weeks, many of the exiled Mandalorian clans that were exiled long ago from Mandalore now began to become more active. They started to raid trade routes, attacked Republic and Separatists vessels, space stations, outposts and more. Not only that, but quite a few systems began to either revolt or leave the Republic or the Separatists. This left the two major factions in chaos. The Republic was unable to put down these revolts due to the lack of manpower. The Separatists did have the manpower, but their manpower was for the lack of better term ineffective. Turns out, Separatist program droids are quite stupid, no surprise there. However, there was something he needed to do first. If his plan was to succeed, then it would deliver a knockout blow to the Republic. Sir, the fleet is ready. A clone reported. His armor was of Mandalorian look and descent. He had ordered that the clone armor be replaced to avoid confusion between friend and foe. Make the jump. Naruto ordered. Immense precision hyperspace jump. The clone ordered Naruto's flagship and a few others made the jump. The crew was quite nervous and they had the right to be. Precision hyperspace jumps were quite dangerous to attempt and required skilled pilots to pull them off, even with gravity wells. They could all see the light pass by them, however they could also see that their ships were started to slow down until they exited out of the hyperspace and zoomed past the Republic defenses and stopping right behind them. Right, launch the fighters to engage enemy vessels, send bombers and gunship to secure a foothold the planet's surface. Bring the ships around to face the enemy defense platforms, we must disable them first. Naruto ordered as the hangars opened and launched fighters, while the ships began to turn to face the Republic vessels. Sir, the Republic ships are moving on us, orders. The clone questioned as Naruto hummed. Not yet, let them come closer. Naruto said as he thought back to his plan. Flashback. Naruto observed everyone in the war room. It consisted of high-ranking officers, Rommel and Bo. Everyone was here for one reason. Now that everyone's here, let's begin. Admiral, if you will. Naruto gestured towards Rommel, who nodded and turned on the holodeble located in the center of the war room. It turned on to show on blue and green planet with a large presence of Republic forces. This is the planet Tanaab and is one of the key planets we must control if we are to have leverage over the Republic. As most of you know, the planet produces food for countless worlds throughout the galaxy and most of the food is consumed by systems under Republic control. If we can capture this planet, we can force the Republic to come to the negations tables. Rommel stated as many nodded. But what about the Republic forces stationed there? We don't have the manpower to take them all on. One of the officers questioned. Everyone, again, nodded at that. The Republic still outnumbered them. The Admiral and I have come up with a plan for that. Bo said as Naruto raised an eyebrow. Oh? Let's hear it. He said as she nodded before pressing a few buttons and bringing up a few ships. It's a risky strategy, but we can have a few our ship's precision jump behind the Republic forces, forcing them to turn around and face the attacking forces. This will cause them to break formation and engage our forces, however, we can use this opportunity too. She said as she pressed a few more buttons, bringing up the hologram of more ships. They hit the enemy where it hurt them the most, their rear. You are aware of how the Republic ships worked, they most focused their defenses and armor on the front, as they were made primarily for offensive operations. Their rear is weaker and less armored. Rommel finished for her. What about nearby Republic fleets? I don't think that the Republic will just sit back and watch as they lose a valuable planet. Naruto questioned as everyone frowned. Don't worry, they will be busy handling the assault on Coruscant. Bo answered as she smirked. She proceeded to elaborate her plan. Flashback end. Dumping asteroids in Coruscant's orbit with stealth composites. That will send the Republic on a goose chase, trying to find each and every asteroid to make sure they won't fall on the planet's surface. Naruto stated. Bo had contacted a few Mandalorian clans and had scraped up a large transport fleet. The fleet would carry asteroids that would be dumped in Coruscant's orbit. Not only that, but the stealth composites and false launches would mean that the Republic would have no idea how many asteroids were there, their size and so on. It would mean that the Republic would have to clear out the asteroid cloud above Coruscant to be cleared first, in fear of them falling to the planet's surface. Not only that, but the attack would draw more attention as Coruscant was the center, the heart of the Republic. Order Admiral Rommel to commence his attack. Naruto ordered as the message was carried out, and no sooner had his ships had destroyed a few defense platforms, leaving gaps in the enemy defenses, Rommel's fleet jumped out of hyperspace. The second fleet began to open fire as fast attack vessels harassed the Republic vessels. Caught unprepared, the Republic fleet began to cluster into a single point, unknowingly allowing the enemy to surround them. Their escape was cut off, their defenses had failed, and now they were surrounded. They only hoped that a nearby fleet could save them. Coruscant. What do you mean we can't go? Anakin questioned, annoyed that the guards wouldn't let him take off the planet to his command ship in orbit. Unknown ships just dumped asteroids in the orbit, sir. We don't know how many they are, but we don't know the amount of them or their location. Ships are prohibited from leaving or entering the system. The clone trooper said as he stood in front of the Chosen One. Anakin growled as his narrowed. That's not going to help, Anakin. Master Yoda has called us to a meeting, come now. Obi-Wan said as Anakin once again growled and went along with Obi-Wan. What did Master Yoda? Lately, there have been quite a lot of meetings, mostly about how to best deal with the Jedi-turned-Mandalore. Arriving in the council room, they quickly took their seats and waited till the rest of the high-ranking Jedis to arrive. Soon, everyone had arrived and took their seats. Now that everyone has arrived, let us begin. Mace Windu stated as they looked towards Master Yoda. Invaded, Tanaab has been. Master Yoda began as everyone gasped. Then we must send reinforcements to Tanaab at once. Anakin yelled out as everyone nodded in agreement. That would not be wise. The enemy assault has left Coruscant vulnerable to a follow-up attack. We have to call many of our fleets in defense of Coruscant in case of an attack. Windu stated as Anakin looked at him as if he was crazy. That would leave many of our allied systems defenseless. We must go on the offensive and prevent the fall of Tanaab. Anakin once again voiced an opinion. The other masters gave him a concerned look. We would, but like Master Windu stated, Coruscant is vulnerable to attack. We cannot risk leaving it undefended. Master Shak Ti stated, however, even if they were to go on the offensive, she would most likely join Naruto, as she couldn't find the will to take up arms against the boy who she saw as a son. But we can't just sit here and do anything. Anakin is right, we need to send forces to reinforce the defense of Tanaab. Failure to do so will show weakness to the other systems of our inability to protect them. Obi-Wan said as many nodded. Recently, many systems under Republic protection began to question the ability of the Jedis and the Republic to defend them. Know this, we do. Send Master Ayla Secura, we will. Master Yoda said as everyone turned to him. Are you sure that is wise? Master Ayla's fleet is crucial for the conquest of Felucia. Her fleet has been making great headway into enemy territory. We cannot simply abandon the territory we have taken. Kit Fisto questioned, that was a valid point. Victory is built upon the back of sacrifice. We cannot let Tanaab fall as it is crucial part of the war effort. It keeps billions fed, and if lost, many systems will most likely want us to negotiate with Mandalore. Mace stated as many nodded grimly. So, you're just gone throw away the territory we have gained. Many clones died for it, and you're going to throw it all away. Why can't you simply send one of the fleet stationed here? Anakin again voiced his concern. Again, everyone looked at him with a concerned look. That's enough, Anakin. Coruscant is the heart of the Republic, and if it falls, the war is lost. This is war, we have to make hard choices sooner or later. Obi-Wan reprimanded his former student. Anakin grumbled as he conceded. Then it is decided, Master Isla will be sent to defend Tanaab. May said as they soon contacted Isla and gave her the mission. As she was being briefed, she spotted Shak Ti sending her discreet look and she knew what it meant. Understood masters, I will do as commanded. She bowed before the hologram shut off. Shak Ti observed as everyone began to leave. It seems like I must speed up my plans. It's a good thing too that my fleet is in orbit. If I know Naruto then there aren't many asteroids in orbit. I better hurry. She thought as she stood up and quickly made her way to the hangar. The Order be damned, it was not what it used to be. Jedi were supposed to be protectors of peace, not generals, but then again, she was still going to be fighting in the war, just for another side. Naruto was like a son to her, and she was not going to stand by and do nothing as two powers sought to kill him. She even knew about Padme and him. She didn't realize it before, but she hated Padme for hurting him the way she did. She will get what's coming to her. She thought as she entered the hangar and started to approach her personal starfighter. However, before she could board it, she was stopped by a guard. "Ah, General, I am not sure if you know, but all traffic is being grounded," the clone stated as he stopped her. Shak Ti frowned as she started to use the force. "You will allow me to pass," she stated as the clone stiffened up. "I will let you pass," he said as he moved aside to let her pass. She boarded her fighter, but before she took off, she looked at the guard. "Oh, and you will forget this ever happened," she said as she took off. In the B-pit, she turned on the hologram. The hologram turned on to show a clone commander. "Commander Fives, I am on my way, have the fleet ready for Operation Exodus," she ordered as the clone commander nodded. "Roger that, General," Fives responded as the hologram turned off. Ground control. Some might say that ground control was the laziest job you could ever find, a desk job really. However, what no one knew was that it was the hardest and the most important job. Managing the space traffic and guiding vessels. However, it was a boring job. Nothing exciting happened, but when it did, it got pretty hectic. "Sir, there is a Jedi starfighter is leaving the temple hangars and heading out," an officer stated as he turned to the commander in charge of the post. The commander walked up and pressed a button. "This is ground control to Jedi starfighter, turn around at once. I repeat, turn around at once. All traffic is currently grounded," the commander ordered. "Unfortunately, I can't do that, ground control," Shak Ti responded as she sped her fighter up. "Turn around at once or we will be forced to fire at you," the commander stated, but once again he was ignored. With Naruto. Naruto looked on as the battle raged on. Destroyed Republic ships floated through the dark space stations that were supposed to defend the planet were all but destroyed. The whole defense fleet was all but destroyed. "Sir, we have an incoming Republic fleet entering the system," an officer stated as Naruto turned towards the Republic ships that dropped out of hyperdrive and frowned. "So, they sent you Isla," he said to himself. He didn't want to fight her, but if it came down to it, then he would have to. "Send word to the Admiral's fleet to reorganize. We have a new target. Also, order the transport ships to begin landing operations," Naruto ordered as he turned to look towards the incoming fleet. He felt conflicted. He didn't want to fight, but it seemed like he had no other choice. "Sir, the incoming fleet is sending a message on an open channel," an officer reported as Naruto raised an eyebrow. What could Isla want? "Put it through," he ordered as he turned around and walked up to the holodable that was on the bridge. Soon, the hologram of Isla appeared. "If it's a surrender you are looking for, then you are wasting your time," he said as Isla shook her head. "No, I am not even here to fight you in the first place, I am here to join you," she stated as Naruto's eyes widened. Why would she do this? She was loyal to the Order and the Republic, so why would she do it? "Why? This would surely mean that you will be hunted by the Order," he stated as she nodded. "Let them hunt me. I won't fight for a faction that cares only for those who have the means to provide wealth. The Jedi were meant to be peacekeepers for all, not just the wealthy. That, and the Order has lost its way. It is not the Order that I learned of while growing up," she answered as Naruto slowly nodded. She was right, the Jedi had lost what it meant to be a Jedi. "I see. What about the chips inside your clone's head? Have they been removed?" he questioned. He was ready to welcome all the help he could get, but if they were clones, he wanted the chips inside their heads removed. He didn't want his own soldiers turning on him. "They have been removed and I had them examined further. It seems like the chips were more than just inhibitor chips. They contained many different codes, one of them was called Order 66. She answered with a frown. Naruto raised an eyebrow at that. He knew that the chip was meant to control the clones, but he didn't know what exactly was on them. "Order 66? He questioned. "Order 66 would cause the clones to label the Jedi as enemies of the Republic and proceed to kill them. It seems like the Sith Lord had plenty of time to plan the war and the orders out," she answered as Naruto hummed. It would make sense to make clones kill the Jedis, since many of the clones would be stationed near high-profile Jedis. This is disturbing news. Anyway, I'll have your fleet orders soon. Naruto said as Ayla nodded, understanding that he was in command. Also, Master Shak Ti will also be joining us soon. She said as once again Naruto raised an eyebrow. So, she has also left the order? Naruto questioned as Ayla nodded. Yes, she called in a few minutes ago and had departed with her fleet from Coruscant, though she did state that few Republic ships are going after her. She has chosen to take a different route in order to evade the pursuing ships. She said as she brought up map of the route Shak Ti was taking. She's heading to a system near Ord Mantell. Naruto questioned. Yes, there is a system near Ord Mantell. It's a rather isolated system as it contains a planet that hasn't reached the technological level of spaciflight. She confirmed as Naruto hummed. She's trying to lose the Republic ships and taking the long route to Mandalore. She is going to need some help. Ayla, you're in charge here now. Naruto said as he began to issue orders to his crew. Ayla merely raised an eyebrow. Why am I in charge? She questioned. I am going to assist Master Shak Ti. He simply said as he started to give out orders. Are you sure that is wise? I assume that your forces are already stretched too thin. Ayla questioned. Naruto nodded. While our forces are stretched to the limit, the Republic won't be attacking. They are too busy trying to hunt down Master Shak Ti. As far as the Republic knows, Master Shak Ti was a spy from the start. I am sure that the Jedi or any other Republic force won't try to leave Coruscant since they would believe that she knew where the asteroids were. They won't risk it, so most of the Republic fleets don't have a Jedi general with them. They won't carry out an attack. Naruto explained as she slowly nodded. Then I guess I will be holding the system down then. May the force be with you. She said, ending the transmission. Jump to light speed. Naruto ordered as his flagship, along with 2 Venator-class star destroyers, jumped to light speed, racing to the system near Ord Mantell. Commander Wolf, what do we know of this untouched system? Naruto questioned the commander. The commander was a veteran clone who had seen many battles. His armor was that of an ARC trooper, with a black coloring. Wolf has served from the first battle of the Clone Wars and through. He was an excellent commander, known to use pack tactics to divide and destroy the enemy, a wolf-like personality. Sir, the system is known as Sieg and it has no important strategic value. It is not connected to any major hyperspace lane and lacks resources that would define it as a valuable system. The only people who use this system would be smugglers. It's a longer route, but they can avoid authorities that way. Wolf stated as Naruto hummed. How do you know so much about this system, Commander? Naruto questioned. The knowledge Wolf had was quite extensive. I was part of a recon team sent to scout out the system. We concluded that taking the system would be a waste of resources, that in the local human species of the region would not take kindly to their system being integrated into the Republic, not like they are aware of any life in the galaxy other than themselves. Wolf answered. He had seen that system and quite frankly, the humans of that world were too busy killing each other that they failed to realize that they are not alone. I see, well then, it's good to have you on board. Have the boarding parties ready. Naruto ordered as Wolf saluted before heading out of the bridge. Have the fighter pilots ready for launch. Once we exit light speed, have them go on the offensive. Naruto ordered as the officers nodded and sent out the command. Naruto turned towards the viewport. Just hang in there for a little while. He hoped that he wouldn't be too late. Master Shak Ti. Shak Ti cursed as her ship shook. She had tried to throw off the Republic ships, but it seemed like they didn't take her defection too kindly. The ship rocked again. General, we lost 50% of our shields. The Dauntless has lost 3 of its engines and can't take much more damage. The Defender has lost all its shields and is taking heavy fire. Commander Fives reported as he held on to something as the ship shook again. Have the Dauntless and Defender to make the jump. We will draw the enemy fire to us. She ordered. But General, we don't have the firepower or the numbers to defeat the enemy fleet. Fives said back. They were outnumbered and had lost their hyperdrive. I know, Commander, but I have faith. Now tell them to retreat. She ordered as Fives nodded and sent out the order. Soon, the 2 damaged ships jumped away and escaped while her command ship provided covering fire. Evasive maneuvers, try to avoid the incoming enemy fire. Shak Ti ordered as the ship began to turn around, but then shook violently. Our engines have been hit. An officer shouted out as the ship started to descend into the planet. General. We have been caught in the planet's orbital pull. The ship's going to crash. An officer reported as the ship started to enter the planet's atmosphere. It started to slowly heat up from the bottom as it entered the atmosphere. Then all of a sudden there were alarms going off. 3 new starships have entered the battlefield. An officer reported. Shak Ti was now worried. Maybe this was the end. Incoming transmission, should I patch it through? One of the officers questioned. Shak Ti slowly nodded. Master Shak Ti, what is your status? She sighed in relief. She knew who that was. My ship has been caught in the planet's orbit and I fear we are going to crash. We will try to crash land the ship, but as long as these Republic ships are attacking us the odds are slim. She reported as Naruto nodded. Very well, I'll drive away the enemy fleet, you just focus on landing that ship as safely as possible. He said, ending the transmission. Was that General Naruto? Fives questioned. He had served under him a few months back, and damn was Naruto a fine general. Cool-headed and calm, the man put the lives of his men before his own. During the short time he had served under him, he had seen Naruto in action many times. He remembered that at one point he had carried out a mission to save one of his men. He carried out a mission to save the life of one clone. To many, clones were expendable, but it was evident that Naruto didn't see it that way. Yes, he has arrived. Let him deal with Republic fleet, we have to focus on getting this ship on ground. Have all hands brace for impact. She ordered as crew began to maneuver the ship so that it could survive the crash. But Naruto. Sir, the enemy fleet hasn't noticed our arrival. An officer stated as Naruto sighed. They were again showing the rear side of their ships. When will they realize that it's that weakest point of the ship? Cripple the ships, use ion cannons and have boarding parties capture them. He ordered. He needed more ships, so he opted to use a different approach. Instead of outright destroying enemy ships, he was going to capture them. It would not only add ships to his fleet, but also allow his fleet to become proficient in capturing ships. Destroying ships was easy, but capturing them was harder. Ion cannons started to open fire at the gun turrets of the ships and the bridge, shutting them down, while heavy turbo blasters knocked out one or two of the engines to cripple them. They even blasted holes in the side hangars that were closed, allowing for the boarding ships to land. Naruto had his mind on something else. Update on Master Shak Ti's ship. He ordered as the officers quickly gained the information they needed. The general's ship is descending faster than expected, it seems like all of their engines have been knocked out. They have maneuvered the ship as much as they could, but they will survive according to the crash trajectory. An officer reported as Naruto nodded. Very good, have the gunships ready. Have the 32nd Engineering Battalion ready up, they are going on a repair mission. Naruto ordered as the officer looked at. Sir, are you sure that the ship will be space-worthy after it crashes? The officer questioned. Naruto smirked. Knowing Master Shak Ti, it will be. Naruto answered as he looked back to her ship as it descended further and further. But Shak Ti. General, you have to get to the escape pod. The ship won't survive. Five urged her, but all Shak Ti did was closing her eyes and was meditating. The Force shall guide us, Commander. She said as the ship's light rocked. Fives could feel something was going on. Looking at Shak Ti, he saw that there was sweat building up on her forehead. She's using the Force. I've seen the Jedis use Force before, but to guide a whole ship. That's insane. He thought as the bridge crew ran around like headless chickens. He looked out the bridge viewport and saw that they were about to hit. He quickly ran over to a command console and pressed a button on it. Brace for impact. He yelled, warning the whole ship. He held on to something. I hope that Force can't save us now, he thought as the ship made impact. He was thrown forward and crashed into one of the chairs. Shak Ti, however, held her ground. The ship skidded across the land, leaving a large trail behind it. It crashed through forests, hills and even a small mountain before it slowly came to a halt. Are you alright, Commander? Shak Ti asked with a smile as she looked at Fives, who slowly stood up, albeit with pain. Yeah, I don't like crash landings, he answered as he quickly took off his helmet and threw up his lunch. Guess he shouldn't have eaten that meal before the battle. Let us hope we do not go through another one. She said as Five nodded to that. General, our scanners are picking up unknown elements heading our way. An officer said as he slowly stood up and looked down at the scanner, showing multiple dots heading their way. Shak Ti hummed before looking at Five. It seems like you're about to see some action, Commander. She said with a small smile. Five sighed at that. Me and my big mouth, he responded. Oh yes, this was not his day at all. End chapter. So this part ends here. If you want to see next part of this series, like the video now and share the story with your friends. Bye bye.